Everyone. Today we're going to create a scratch project on how to make two things race to the finish line. So it's kind of like a game, but first you need to go to the Scratch login on the St. Anne's website. Click on sign in. Your username is the year of graduation, first letter of your first name, and your last name. Your password is SAES1234, and then click sign in. And next you need to click on create. And the first thing we're going to do is choose a backdrop for your race. So I'm going to have mine race across a finish line on a track. So to choose a backdrop, you go down to the little icon in the corner that says choose a backdrop from the library. And you can choose whichever one you would like, but I am going to choose this track right here. And then click OK. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to create a script for our sprite. And if you want to change your sprite, you can. So I'm just going to go ahead and change my sprite to something else. So to change your sprite, you go to the little guy here, and you could choose something else. Remember, it's going to be two things going across the finish line, so they're kind of racing each other. So I might just choose this dog right here. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of my cat. So to get rid of a sprite, you just click on the little pair of scissors to delete and click on the sprite you want to delete. So now I have my dog, and I'm going to program my dog. So the first thing I need to do is go to my motion blocks, which I'm in, the blue ones, and we're going to choose move 10 steps. So drag that one over. And then if you click on that block, you're going to see, as you click on it, it actually makes your sprite move 10 steps. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I'm going to add an event button to the top of it. So to add the event button, you need to go to events. And this just means I'm going to click on something to make that happen. So let's choose the when the space bar is pressed, he moves 10 steps. And you can even change that to other things. If you click on this little arrow key, you can go down and choose a different key that you would like. So maybe I'm just going to keep mine on spacebar, and let's see what happens. When I click on my spacebar, see how he's moving? Okay, and if I want him back on there, just click and drag him back where you want him, and then you can try it out some more. I could also choose an up arrow or a down arrow, whichever one you'd like, but I'll keep it at that. And you can change yours if you'd like. So if you want to change how fast it moves, like instead of moving 10 steps, you could have him move 15 steps. So then, when I click on my spacebar, he moves more steps. So you can change that to a different number if you'd like. Now we're going to draw a finish line because we don't have one yet. So if you want to draw a finish line, which you need to do, I want you to click on the paintbrush icon. Right here, we're beside new sprite. Instead, we're going to paint a new sprite, and we're going to paint a finish line. So you click on paint new sprite, and then you just choose a color for your finish line. I'm going to choose yellow. It should show up really well on that red color. And then you go over here and you can draw it. If you totally mess up, you could probably delete or erase. Here's the eraser, which I really did mess up, so I'll do that again. And if you want a straight line, you could choose the straight line tool, which would make it straight. Okay, and then you could even, if that's too dark, not dark enough, you can go over here and make your line width even wider. So then you really have a dark finish line there. And then the next thing you need to do is, oh, one other thing. If you want to make the finish line straight, you can hold the shift key down while you're doing it. So I moved this over to make it wider, and then let's say I want to draw it straight rather than going that way. I want it to be straight. Hold the shift key down while you're drawing. Okay, I'm just going to delete that though. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, and then we're going to click on, I think, add. Let's see. Oh no, that wasn't correct. Let's cancel that. So to get it in there, I think we've already got it in there. So what I need to do is, oh, I see it over here. So see how it's not straight? It doesn't look that good. Well, I'm going to go back and make mine a little straighter. So I'm just going to erase this. And then choose the straight line tool again. I'm going to hold shift down and try to make it straighter. Let's see if that worked. Oh, that's okay. I'm just going to leave it. But you can drag it wherever you want it. So I'll put it way out here maybe. And maybe I shouldn't have made it quite so long. So I could go back over and even erase part of it on both ends. And then see what it looks like. I could drag it down a little. Okay, and so now let's go to the next step. So for the next step, we want to click on the dog, our sprite that we're making move. So mine is a dog. Yours may be something else. So make sure you choose that sprite. And then we're going to go to the scripts again, not the costumes, but the scripts. And in the scripts, we're going to do a whole new set of another script right here. So what you need to do is you need to choose the one that says when the space bar. Actually, I take that back. We're going to add on to this one instead. So instead of just doing that whole thing again, let's add. So go to controls, and we're going to say if, and then statement. We're going to make that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say if it's touching something. So we're trying to say when it touches this yellow line, that means it's reached the finish line. So let's go to if and then, and to get to that statement you have to go to the sensing one. So if it's touching, let's put that, see that little box there, that is where we're trying to get it. If it's touching let's change this to, it should say sprite, oh, this is called sprite 1 over here. See the one we made? So if it's touching sprite 1, then we want something to happen. So let's see. If it touches sprite 1, then we want it to say I made it. So let's go to the purple one for looks. Whoops, click on looks. We want it to say, let's choose the say hello for 2 seconds and we'll change that. So instead of hello, I want it to say, I made it. Okay, and then let's see what happens whenever I click on my spacebar. You keep clicking the spacebar. Oops. There we go. Whoops, when he touched the yellow line, it said, I made it. Watch. Great. So now to go back to the starting point, you just need to drag your sprite back. So drag it back over to the other side. And then if you start pressing the space bar, it makes your sprite move. And then it gets to the finish line and it says, I made it. So now what you can do is you can set it to go back to that spot every time so that you don't have to drag the sprite back. So I'm dragging my sprite back here. That's where I want it to start every time. And I'm going to add another script down here for it so that when I click on the green flag, it makes my sprite go back to the beginning. So let's go to events, choose when the green flag is clicked. I want it to go to a certain place on the X and Y axis, which is this place right here. So if we go to motion and choose go to X and Y, drag that over, and since we have it in its spot, that's what the X and the Y says right now. So when let's say I make him go with my space bar, he gets to the end, I made it. Then if I press this green flag, he'll go back to the beginning and I won't have to move him back to the beginning every single time. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to add another sprite. So the same thing, you're going to go down to the little guy to add a new sprite, and we're choosing someone to race against this first sprite that we had. So to choose something to race against it, you just need to go through and choose. Well, maybe I'll choose this frog right here. Okay, now I have my frog chosen, and I'm going to drag him over here on his side. That's kind of tricky, but I'll put his tongue right before the finish line, so that's what it'll touch. Okay, and then we're going to code the sprite just like we did for the dog. So now I'm going to go to make sure you have the frog selected, so now we can program him. And we're going to say when the right arrow is pressed. So let's go to the events and let's drag that one over. And we've already got the dog program for the space bar. So we want to change it from space bar to something else for the frog. So let's change it to up arrow. So when the up arrow is pressed, I want my sprite to move. Let's go over to the motion block and move blank steps. And I'm going to choose the same amount of steps, 15, because I want it to be fair. And then I need to go over and for controlling, choose if it's touching something, then I want it to say something else. So if it's touching, so let's do the if and then statement. And then we need to go to sensing and change it to, we'll move it in there. So if touching, and we want to say sprite 1 again, because that's what our finish line is called, sprite 1. Then let's go to the looks. We want it to say, instead of I did it, let's say, I'm going to say hooray. And you don't have to say hooray. You can change it to something else. Okay, so now I have that part programmed. Let's just test it. The up arrow, well, I might need to click back over here. When I click on the up arrow, see how my sprite is moving? Hooray! Now we want him to start back over when I click on the flag. So to do that, we need to go back to events. When the green flag is clicked, then go to motion, and we want it to go to the X and Y axis. Okay, so watch. When I press the up button, and he gets to the end, I can press the flag and he'll go back to the beginning. So now I can use both buttons to race them against each other. So let's say I'm going to do both at the same time. See which one is faster. Oh, I think that was a tie. So then if I press my flag, it makes them start back all over again. Okay, and you could even add another sprite to have 3 racing against each other as well. Okay, so the next thing I want us to do to these sprites is if you want to play around with them and add some other things, you can. You could even add some things to your background to make it look better or to change the looks of it. Once you finish, show it to the teacher and then you can move on to the next lesson.